As dawn was breaking over the city's back streets, the bright neon lights had already faded, and curtains hanging in the windows began to part. This neighborhood lay far from the gleaming skyscrapers, wide avenues, and expensive shops. The asphalt was worn, the paving stones were cracked, and traces of dampness were visible on some building walls. Luxury cars were a rare sight here. People generally struggled to make a living, scraping by on whatever small jobs they could find to get through the day. In one of these very streets lived a 15-year-old black boy named Marcus. Marcus and his mother led a modest life in a single-story house with peeling paint. He had lost his father when he was too young to remember. His mother managed to keep the household going with the few coins she earned from part-time work, and Marcus did his best to help. In the mornings he went to school. In the afternoons he worked as an apprentice at the neighborhood grocery store, and in the early evenings he would sometimes play ball at the sports field or help the neighbor kids with their homework. In this community, Marcus was known as a kind-hearted, hard-working, and helpful young boy, someone people trusted and turned to when they needed help. On the street where Marcus lived, activity usually picked up in the early hours of the morning. People heading to work, sending their children to school, elderly ladies sweeping their doorsteps. Each day followed a similar routine. Yet, even though Marcus was aware of this cycle, he always carried the hope of another world inside him. It was as if he sensed that one day some unexpected event would occur and steer his seemingly ordinary life onto a different path. He didn't know why he felt this way. Perhaps it was because he wanted to wipe away the signs of fatigue on his mother's face and give her a more comfortable life. Early that morning, Marcus left the house to go to school. His mother had already set off for work. The street was slightly chilly, and birds chirped on worn-out electric lines. After a short distance, as he turned the corner of a narrow alley, Marcus came across an unusual scene. A well-dressed woman in her 50s was carefully taking steps with a white cane, but seemed unable to fully grasp her surroundings. It was clear she could not see. Just a few steps earlier, she had stepped off the curb and had nearly collided with a wheeled garbage bin before stopping. The woman, evidently lost, seemed unsure of where to go. Marcus couldn't take his eyes off the woman. Such a sight was uncommon in this neighborhood. Usually everyone knew the area well, and if there were any disabled neighbors, the locals would help them. But this woman was clearly a stranger. A natural urge arose within him to help. After all, Marcus's most defining trait was his willingness to lend a hand. He immediately stepped forward. "Excuse me," he called out softly. "Do you need help?" The woman lifted her head, turning toward the source of the voice, but her eyes couldn't lock onto any focus. "Yes, I think I've lost my way," she said, her voice slightly trembling. "They said there's a bakery around here famous for its fresh bread. I'm trying to reach it." Marcus smiled, noticing the worry on her face. "I can help you," he said. "The bakery is just a few steps after you turn that corner. You can hold onto my arm, and we'll go together." The woman thanked him and took hold of Marcus's arm. She raised her cane slightly, letting the boy guide her steps. As they moved forward slowly and carefully, Marcus described the pavement, the small pothole ahead, and the trash to the right. The woman asked, "What's your name, dear?" "I'm Marcus," he replied. "I live here. My neighborhood is a bit old, but the people are good." "Nice to meet you, Marcus," said the woman. "My name is Clarissa. I come to this city from time to time, but I rarely visit this neighborhood. A friend recommended the bakery here, so I wanted to try it. I lost my sight years ago, but I never stopped wanting to discover new places." Marcus admired her courage. In this neighborhood, it was quite praiseworthy for a visually impaired, unfamiliar person to try to find her way alone. "We're almost there," he said. "Just 5 more steps and we're at the door." When they reached the bakery, Clarissa stopped. "Thank you so much, Marcus. "You've been very kind. I'd like to give you something for your help." She reached into her bag and took out some money. Marcus shook his head. "No need. I just wanted to help," he said sincerely. "I don't need money." Clarissa seemed surprised. Who would turn down cash these days? But Marcus's voice and gaze were sincere. "All right then," she said, smiling. "Your good heart has really impressed me, Marcus. I hope life brings you wonderful surprises. I know that when one does good deeds, unexpected blessings often find their way back." Marcus didn't know what to say. He just said, "Thank you," and bowed his head slightly. After bidding her farewell, he left the bakery. A strange sense of peace filled him. Maybe it was just a simple act of kindness, but her words echoed in his mind. Life's beautiful surprises. That morning he arrived at school a bit late, but his teacher was used to it. Unlike students from richer neighborhoods, Marcus had to cover a longer distance, and the teacher didn't even scold him. As he entered the classroom, Marcus still thought about the woman's words. Life brings you beautiful surprises. Could it really be true? The rest of the day passed normally. He struggled a bit in math, chatted with friends at lunchtime, stopped by the grocery store after school, worked for half an hour, and then returned home. When his mother arrived, he told her about the morning's encounter. She simply said, "Good job, son," since helping others was normal for them, without expecting anything in return. That was just in Marcus's nature. But that night, as Marcus lay in bed, he thought once again about Clarissa's expression, her voice. She had left a different kind of impression on him. Maybe life really was full of surprises, and all you needed was patience. As he drifted off to sleep, he thought that tomorrow would likely be another ordinary day, and this act of kindness would remain a sweet memory. Yet who could know the map of fate? Perhaps expecting the unexpected was the wisest course. Marcus didn't know that in 1 week's time, something would happen right in front of his door, something that would leave the entire neighborhood astonished and completely change this young boy's ordinary life. A week later, as the sun rose once again over the neighborhood, everything in Marcus's life seemed unchanged on the surface. He continued going to school, working at the grocery store, and supporting his mother. Yet in a corner of his heart, the encounter with Clarissa and her mysterious words still echoed. Even though there didn't appear to be any tangible change in his life, a feeling, a sense of expectation, had begun to take root inside Marcus. Then, one Friday afternoon, as Marcus finished school and headed home, he saw it at the end of the street. That huge, shiny black limousine. At first glance, he couldn't believe his eyes. In this neighborhood, no one could even dream of a car so luxurious and so long. It looked as if it had emerged straight out of a movie scene. Children, women, elderly residents, all watched from their windows or doorsteps as this scene unfolded. Marcus felt his heart rate increase. Instantly, Clarissa came to mind. Such an expensive car could only belong to someone from an elegant, privileged world like hers. Who else would come to a poor neighborhood in a limousine? He quickened his pace, feeling breathless. As the entire neighborhood watched curiously, the limousine's driver, an impeccably dressed man wearing an earpiece, noticed Marcus approaching, opened the door, and yes, that familiar voice came from inside. "Marcus, is that you, dear?" asked Clarissa, a warm smile hidden in her tone. Marcus leaned forward slightly. "Yes, it's me," he replied, his voice trembling softly. "Did you come back again?" Clarissa gently extended her cane out the door and stepped outside. With those unseeing eyes, perhaps trying to imagine Marcus's face or sense the street, she said, "I wanted to see you again. I couldn't forget that small kindness you showed me last week." And then added, "I'm Clarissa, remember? I was looking for the bakery." "Of course I remember," said Marcus, smiling. The entire neighborhood held its breath, watching. Marcus's mother had also appeared at their doorstep, astonished. "Good heavens," she murmured under her breath. Clarissa turned her head slightly toward that direction. "Your neighborhood is quite charming, Marcus. It took me some time to find you, because you hadn't given me your exact address. But I asked around. I reached your mother, spoke to a few neighbors. Everyone praised you. How helpful, good-hearted, and kind you are." Marcus blushed, unsure what to say. Clarissa continued, "I work at an important foundation involved in art, music, and education. We support young people. After what you did for me, I sensed the goodness radiating from you. Someone like you deserves more. I believe you should have access to good education and better opportunities." Marcus still didn't fully grasp what was happening, just listening in silence. Clarissa turned to his mother and spoke gently. "Ma'am, I've heard about your son's perseverance and good nature. He grew up in this neighborhood under tough conditions, yet remained hard-working and honest. If you'll allow it, I have a proposal. A full scholarship, all expenses covered, so he can continue his education at one of the best private high schools in the city. Also, during summer break, he'll attend various camps and workshops, so he can discover his talents. Maybe in music, maybe in sports, maybe another field. I want to invest in his future." Marcus's mother covered her mouth in astonishment. This had to be a dream. No one in this neighborhood ever received such an offer, especially from a woman arriving in a limousine. Marcus felt as if he could burst with excitement. "Really?" he stammered. "Why me?" Clarissa smiled. "Because you helped me without asking for anything in return. Nowadays, many people expect a reward even for the smallest kindness, but you naturally refused. That shows your character. Also, what I've heard supports this. Even in a poor neighborhood, under difficult conditions, you kept your good heart. Our foundation looks for young people like you. We aim to provide equal opportunities and help them realize their potential." A murmur spread through the neighborhood. Some neighbors whispered, "He's so lucky," while others said, "Good for Marcus." A few kids watched with envy, but most wore smiles on their faces. Such miracles rarely occurred in poor neighborhoods. Marcus's mother was moved to tears, thanking Clarissa repeatedly. Marcus himself felt a mix of shock, happiness, and a bit of fear. A new school, a new environment. Who knew what he'd face? But the determination in Clarissa's voice reassured him. "Next Saturday we'll come pick you up, Marcus," said Clarissa. "We'll tour the school, meet the principal and teachers. We'll find out what interests you and adjust the program accordingly. We'll also register you for the summer camp. All you have to do is be ready. This is an opportunity, but without your talent, hard work, and heart, it means nothing. I hope you'll make the most of it." Marcus nodded. "I'll do my best," he said, his voice slightly trembling. The words caught in his throat. Leaving his neighborhood to enter a different world was scary, yet exciting. A week ago, he had simply helped a blind woman find her way. Today, an enormous door of opportunity had opened before him. Clarissa handed him a card. "This is my card with my contact information. Don't hesitate to call if you need anything." As the limousine pulled away, the neighborhood nearly celebrated with joy. Marcus's mother hugged him, tears in her eyes. "I'm so proud of you, my son," she said, wiping her tears. Marcus hugged her back, feeling a whirlwind of emotions inside. Gratitude, excitement, hope, and determination. He had to work hard to deserve this miracle and not disappoint anyone. Throughout the week, Marcus's mind swirled with countless thoughts. A new school, wealthy classmates, better resources, private lessons. Maybe he'd discover new instruments in the music rooms, improve in sports, or excel academically. Yet he also worried. As a black kid from a poor neighborhood, would he be accepted there? Would he face prejudice or bias? All these questions circled in his head. Still, Clarissa's reassuring voice, the foundation she mentioned, and the opportunities provided gave Marcus courage. When Saturday came, Clarissa arrived with the limousine again. This time, Marcus's mother was ready too. Together they went to the school. With a spacious campus, friendly teachers, modern labs, a huge library, music studios, and a gym, it felt like an entirely different realm. The principal welcomed him with a handshake and encouraging words. Clarissa sensed Marcus's admiration and smiled softly, knowing this environment would expand his horizons. After signing the scholarship papers and planning the summer camp, a multifaceted program in a wooded area with nature activities, art workshops, leadership training, Marcus realized he might leave behind the crowded city streets for the first time. On the way back home, Marcus felt the change in his life as something tangible. It was more than a dream. His mother was proud, saying, "See how your kindness opens doors?" Neighbors waved from their doorsteps, kids watched admiringly. Now things were serious. Marcus needed to make friends at his new school, take advantage of opportunities, and fulfill his responsibilities at the foundation. Before, his only concern was helping his mother, managing school, and working at the store. Now an entire road lay ahead of him. What was at the end of it? Maybe university, maybe a successful career, maybe a role where he helped others find their path. He made himself a promise. "I won't waste this chance. I'll live up to Clarissa's expectations, my mother's hopes, and the values this neighborhood taught me." A fire burned inside him. He might struggle at first in the new environment, but those struggles would make him stronger. In the following days, Marcus began attending the new school. Some students whispered about him, curious about the boy brought here by a limousine-riding woman. Marcus didn't judge anyone. He just tried his best. He experimented with guitar playing in the music room, discovered new books in the library, spoke with guidance counselors about his interests, and volunteered in projects at the foundation. At every step, he remembered Clarissa's words at the bakery. Kindness sometimes returns in unexpected ways. And indeed it did. Marcus knew this adventure, sparked by a small act of kindness, was only just beginning. As his life's excitement grew and opened new doors, he braced himself for whatever successes or obstacles lay ahead. He was no longer afraid or hesitant. No matter what happened in the finale, he knew he was no longer alone, and that in itself was a victory. All this started with guiding a blind woman. Now he walked towards far greater horizons. Months passed swiftly at his new school. Marcus, initially shy, gradually overcame his hesitation and adapted to his new environment. His teachers appreciated his sincerity and eagerness to learn, while his classmates discovered, through group projects and club activities, how reliable, cheerful, and cooperative Marcus was. The fact that he was black and came from a modest neighborhood initially sparked curiosity in some, but over time they came to see Marcus simply as Marcus, a helpful, talented young man. Sometimes while playing the guitar in the music club, he recalled his old neighborhood days. The patched asphalt, cracked sidewalks, people passing by their doorstep. The hardships of those streets now seemed so distant when viewed from the wide, airy courtyard of his new school. Yet he did not forget his past. The values he gained there, his mother's struggles, the sincere emotion he felt when guiding a blind woman, had all become parts of the character he carried with him. His connection with Clarissa never broke. Once or twice a week he visited the foundation, participating in volunteer activities. There he met young people from different neighborhoods, helped them with their schoolwork, and sometimes offered guidance in music workshops. Every time they met, Clarissa would say, "That kindness you showed on the first day is growing like a wave, Marcus. It's not just me. You're inspiring many other young people as well." As Marcus's perspective expanded, so did his dreams about the world. He considered going to university, perhaps specializing in education or further developing his musical talents. He didn't have to make that decision right away, but he now had options. Whereas before his main goal was simply to support his mother and meet basic needs, he now had academic success, artistic projects, and leadership programs within reach. By the end of the year, the school held a ceremony. Awards were given to successful students, and those active in clubs were invited on stage. Marcus was honored for his efforts in the music club and his contributions to the school's community service projects. Standing on stage, smiling at his friends, teachers, Clarissa, and his mother, he realized just how far he'd come since the day he helped guide a blind woman, setting off a chain of events that led him here. After the ceremony, Clarissa pulled him aside. "Marcus," she said, "this year has been the beginning of a major transformation for you. You're inspiring others. We want to make you a youth ambassador at our foundation. We'd like you to share your story with other young people, to give them hope." Marcus was excited. "It's a great honor," he replied. "I'll do my best." The following week, at a panel organized by the foundation, Marcus took the stage. The audience was filled with young people from similar backgrounds. Marcus shared his story, how he guided a blind woman, how he received a scholarship thanks to her, how he gained access to a new school and new opportunities. "I never thought I'd done something huge," he said, looking into the microphone. "I just helped someone in need. But that small act of kindness opened a huge door for me. It turns out that sometimes small things can lead to very big outcomes in life." The young people in the audience showered Marcus with applause. Some asked questions. What about difficulties? Prejudice? Marcus answered honestly, "Difficulties still exist. There can be obstacles anywhere. But I've learned that through kindness, hard work, and faith, you can overcome them. No one is perfect. I get scared sometimes, I hesitate, but I don't give up." This speech showed that Marcus had become a role model not only for himself, but for others as well. This experience strengthened his identity and helped him move toward the future at peace with his past. Over time, Marcus also took on leadership roles in various projects at his new school. He founded a community service club, visited neighborhoods to distribute books and school supplies to children there. As a result, the kids in those areas began to see Marcus as a hero. He who once played on those same streets was now instilling hope in them. "You can do it too," he told them. "The difference is that I got a chance, but opportunities can come to you as well, or maybe you can create them." His mother watched these changes with pride. She sensed Marcus maturing day by day, becoming stronger in the face of life's challenges. Her son's story, which began with an act of kindness, now brought smiles to both their family and the neighborhood. Neighbors whispered, "See what a small gesture can lead to." And a breeze of hope blew through the streets. Clarissa continued to guide him from the background throughout this process. One day she said to Marcus, "Do you understand now? Kindness sometimes returns in unexpected ways. Your small help touched my heart. I used it to change your life. Now you're touching others. This is a chain of kindness." Marcus nodded. "Yes, I understand," he said. "Maybe one day I'll provide an opportunity for someone else. Maybe I'll arrange a scholarship for a child, or discover a talented youth. That way, this chain never ends." Now it was time to apply for university. Marcus had grown confident. He had improved academically, developed his social skills, and found a purpose. He wanted to work not only for himself, but for the good of society, spreading kindness. He felt the support of those around him. His mother's proud gaze, Clarissa's encouragement, the faith of his teachers. All these forces combined, multiplying Marcus's self-confidence many times over. In the end, Marcus's story wasn't truly a miracle. A small kindness, at the right time and in the right person's hands, created an enormous impact. When that limousine arrived at his door, the neighborhood had been astonished, treating it as a fairy tale. But in reality, it was not a fairy tale. This was the story of human values, of kindness and solidarity. Now Marcus looked back on his past with pride and walked toward the future with hope. On that first day, when he guided a blind woman, he hadn't realized the light inside him. But Clarissa had seen it, nurtured it, and Marcus passed that light on to other hearts. Thus the chain grew, kindness multiplied, and life became more meaningful. By the end of his journey, Marcus learned that it was possible to change not only his own destiny, but also the destiny of others. A small gesture from a week ago had today become the beacon of hope for thousands of young people, and that perhaps was the greatest gift of all.